Mm. Hey, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, man, you know this doesn't work without you guys. And here we are, the last Sunday before training camp opens up. Guys, this is the last gasp. School is almost open again. This is Labor Day weekend for the NFL players. This is the last chance to really spend that quality time with the family or significant others, to go out and just be wild. And fortunately, during this 5 weeks, we haven't had anything bad with our Cowboys. Thank the Lord. Because from here on out, they're going to be owned by the Dallas Cowboys and us, the fans. You know, Monday, treatment day, films. Tuesday, you're 1 day a week off. You know, we live for the whole weekend. 2 days. Sometimes even going home early on a Friday. Football players, no, they get 1 day. Tuesday, Wednesday, back on the field practice. Thursday practice, Friday practice, Saturday walkthroughs or traveling. Sunday, Monday, games. It's here. We're 49 days, 6 hours, 50 minutes, and 10 seconds away from kickoff against the Carolina Panthers. And I'm excited as can be. I literally just am about to bust. It seems like it's been a long off season, but talking to you guys has helped make it go through a little bit quicker. And finally, we'll be actually able to talk about stuff that's actually going on in the field, as opposed to everybody making their polls and their insight and their thoughts on what's coming up. And as we get ready to start this season, I'm just trying to understand some of the rankings and things that people have done for the Cowboys realistically. And I know I'm a Dallas Cowboy blogger. I know that I'm probably a homer and I'm going to be shaded towards the Dallas Cowboys. But honestly, I'm trying to understand how a team that's won 22 games over the last 2 years, in fact, has had 3 winning seasons 3 out of the last 4 years. That's 75%. That for the first time in Jason Garrett's career has had back-to-back winning seasons. And that the Dallas Cowboys, although they played terrible at times, still ended up with a 9-7 record. And as Stephen A. Smith says, what can go wrong will go wrong, and it probably, you could say, last year really did. So when you look at the Cowboys, you look at the team and say they underachieved last year. There's a lot more potential to improve. And as we go through these rankings and people say, oh, 7-9, or, you know, they're about the 20th best team in the NFL. Now, again, you need to prove it on the field. You can have everything you want on paper, but sometimes it doesn't translate to wins on the field. But if we look at the team realistically and say, okay, what are the positives and negatives that are going to affect the team this year? Well, if you say we're going to put the negatives over here, negative is going to be Dez Bryant. You're going to lose Dez Bryant's 69 catches, 838 yards, and 6 TDs. You're going to lose that production. Negative, you're going to lose Jason Witten and his production of 63 catches and 560 yards and 5 touchdowns. So these are the losses to the team that you know you have. But I'll dare say, if we can have Zeke Elliott play for the whole season, half of that production right there will come from Zeke Elliott. Even if you take last year, which compared to his first year was putrid, he still averaged almost 100 yards a game in 10 games. Add 6 more games, that gets you to 1,600 yards. And you look at the production on the field where it went from 5.1 to 4.1. I dare say a clear-headed Zeke Elliott who's focused on football and not having to go to New York to talk to the commissioner, not finding out on Friday that he's actually going to play on Sunday, that the team is able to actually game plan knowing he is going to be there. Go through training camp and practice him like he's going to be there. That he is going to make a major difference in your game plan. Especially with the lack of mileage on him last year. He only played 10 games, and most of that was in the first half of the season. So you're talking about a guy who's young, got a chip on his shoulder, has very little wear and tear over the last year, is going to come out ready to play. So that's going to be a major improvement right there, and that affects the team all the way around. I know when we were at training camp last year, watching, you didn't see Zeke Elliott doing that much practice. You saw a lot more Alfred Morris and things like that, because I think they were figuring he was going to be suspended, and they were working the guys more than they were Zeke Elliott. You should see a totally different effect this year at training camp. So that's a positive. So we got Jason Witten over here on this side, Jason Witten and Des Bryant negatives being gone. And then you got Zeke Elliott here being a positive. Another area you look at and say, okay, where does the Cowboys have room to improve to get better from that 9-7? And clearly you can say the offensive line stepped way back last year. The offensive line, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, Pro Bowlers as always. But Tyron Smith, having the back issues and things, was definitely coming back down to earth. Now, there's no guarantees, but he got to shut down his season early last year and worked with a yoga master and things, and has been working hard on his body. To me, he looks like he's lost about 10 pounds. Not that he was ever fat, but he looks like he is all straight, solid muscle. That body fat must be really, really low. And you think about him being able to hopefully stay on the field for the season. That's a major upgrade. But if he's not, we're not going to say a Chaz Green. You have a Cameron Fleming who played in the Super Bowl blocking for Tom Brady. So your backup on the offensive line, just in case happens, is better. The fact that now you have Lyle Collins playing his second season at tackle in the NFL after playing guard and then being injured and then put out there on the island, you figure he's going to improve as well at the right tackle position. And the guard, God, we never really solidified that position. And hopefully Connor Williams will end up being like a Zach Martin or Travis Frederick or Tyron Smith, that first-round talent drafted in the second round, that you can plug in and be able to play. And the good thing is he's surrounded by Pro Bowlers, so you can see that having that help. But he's young, he's athletic, he's strong, he's got a little bit of nasty. So you look at positives. We've got Zeke Elliott healthy, ready to rock and roll. Other problems behind him. You look at the offensive line and say, okay, that offensive line is going to be better. On the negative side, we got Des Bryant and we got Jason Witten. But I may say that adding an Allen Hurns, drafting a Michael Gallup, is going to help negate some of that Des Bryant. It's not like you're losing 838 yards from wide receiver and that there's going to be nobody to pick up any of that. If you end up getting 50 or more catches, along with Zeke Elliott, that's completely negated. You've basically taken out the negativity from losing a Jason Witten and a Des Bryant. If you get more than that, then that's an improvement. So we're saying, okay, we can at least break even, hopefully, between Jason Witten and Des Bryant, with the addition of Zeke Elliott having a healthy season and more speed, something we haven't had in a long time. So you look at those areas and say, okay, that'll improve. So then we go to the defense. I don't know where the defense regresses. We didn't lose players on the defense. Now, we know Sean Lee is a difference maker on the defense. We know the defense is totally different when Sean Lee isn't there. We know that Jalen Smith was playing on one leg last year. Still no guarantee on how much more Jalen Smith will improve. But the fact that he's able to start working out after losing the brace, literally losing the brace, he didn't know where it was lost, means he's moving around better. He's got more speed. Now, we don't know how the lateral ability and stuff is going to be, but we feel that he should be able to do more having this extra offseason to rehabilitate and learn the system more. You also have a healthy Damian Wilson who's not having off-field drama that he had 4th of July the year before. And now you've drafted at least a Van Der Esch. There's no guarantees on any rookies. So you look at the linebacking core and say, okay, that's at least steady. At least it has more depth. That could be actually a little bit of an improvement. You look at the defensive line, which played really well. One of the strengths of our team with DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence ended the season healthy, not like last year where he had back surgery and things. He's going to be a marked man because of the attention he's going to garner because of the season he had. But you've added some more guys to that. Randy Gregory's a wild card, and basically anything you get out of Randy Gregory is icing on the cake. I'm not expecting a whole lot after 2 years of being off, but he's still a young guy that's in the mix. You look at a Taco Charlton who has been started off slow, but started coming on, now has time to learn the system. You put him in the right spots and things, in that rotation where he's fresh. You think he's going to improve. And you still have veterans like Tyrone Crawford. You have other guys that are trying to save their career, like a Kona Ely and things like that. So you're looking at the defensive line and say, okay, I don't think we've regressed on defensive line. I don't think we've regressed on linebackers. Now, when we look at our defensive backfield, yes, you worry about safety, but our defense was still 8th in yardage last year given up with a whole new defensive backfield. Half of which didn't get on the field till really the middle of the season. Jordan Lewis played through the whole season and played steady the whole time. Awuzie didn't really, with the hamstring, didn't really start playing till about the middle of the season, and when he did, he played really well. Same thing with Xavier Woods. Played well in spots. So when you look at it from the standpoint of just maturity, being in the system, no longer being a rookie and hopefully being healthy, you look at the defensive backfield and say, okay, they should at least hold serve, if not be a little better. So that brings you back to the original point. And Dak Prescott. You look at Dak, the first half of the season was a lot better clearly than the second half. And the things that were going better in the first half was the offensive line didn't have Tyron Smith hurt. We didn't have the meltdown yet with Chaz Green at tackle. We still had Zeke Elliott on a regular basis. And that offense was humming pretty good. All of a sudden, you lose Tyron Smith, you lose Zeke Elliott, you've all of a sudden changed the dynamics of the team. From the standpoint of that alone for the quarterback position should improve from there. If Zeke Elliott is able to run the ball, if the offensive line is able to give him time, and having another year getting past the sophomore slump. Now, so here's my thing. I'm trying to understand, realistically, because football, it's really a guess. Okay, it's really a guess. You can put all the facts and stuff in front of you, and it doesn't always work out the way you would think it would with the numbers. Right? Right, Roscoe? Right. So you look at the team, and you say, okay, the offensive line should be better. Zeke Elliott definitely should be better. If those two are better, then your quarterback should be better. Now, you're going to lose Dez Bryant and Jason Witten. That's the negatives. Defensive line should be just as good. Linebackers has some depth. They should be better. Secondary should be better just because of not being rookies. So with all of that, how do you transition those positives that are clearly outweighing the negatives to the Dallas Cowboys in a horrific season, 9-7, then having a losing record. Now, I know I'm a homer. If you guys can explain to me, if you look at it rationally, where it is that the Dallas Cowboys are going to go backwards, I would love to know. So, that's my thoughts for this morning. I'm going to go check out the British Open, see how Tiger's doing. He was 4 shots off the lead, and he should have already teed off right now. And, of course, if there's any news on our Cowboys, and I'm hoping that there's not, we'll be sure to bring it to you guys here first. See you tomorrow night at our live stream at 9 o'clock Eastern, and I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I'm Mark Holmes with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, and I'll see you soon.